It's great to see you here, Greg. Greg, for
You
those
too,
of you
Mary.
who do, for those of you who don't know, Greg, also known as Coach, is the training director for Boulder Crest Foundation, the Warrior Path program. Greg is very familiar with Songwriting with Soldiers from the early days of our partnership with Boulder Crest. He was there at several of our retreats, and now is as a trainer for PATHH and a PATHH guide, very familiar with our group songwriting module that we have in the middle of the PATHH program. So we're excited to talk with Greg today about his background and then some ways that Greg uses his own creativity, connections, and strengths, which are the core of our program, how Greg uses those in his own life. And he'll be able to share some of those stories and tips with you all. So I'm going to ask you, Greg, give a little intro about yourself, if you will, for those who don't know you, how you got your
Sure.
nickname.
Sure. Yeah, I'm the director of training for Boulder Crest Foundation. I've been a part of Boulder Crest for 5 years full time, almost 6 years as I was able to go through the program. I'm a civilian, but I did have the opportunity in conversations with Ken about coming on board and being one of the path guides. He said, sit in the seat and see what it's about first before you agree to doing this. So I did have the opportunity to be a part of it from that standpoint, from the seat in September of 2015. And then from there, got to be a path guide, a contract guide, and kind of parachute in for programs and lead modules. And then was given the opportunity to be the program director in Virginia, which is where I got to experience several of the weekend retreats and be a part of that program. And then I kind of started all over again, if you will. My background is as an athlete and a coach. That's what I've done and kind of who I've been my whole life. And that's where coach comes from, because it's what I do, but it's who I am for sure. And I commit to my teams and my players and the mission and my time as program director mirrored in terms of intensity and commitment and time away from home my 10 previous years where I was a pit crew coach in NASCAR. And I spent 8 years with Hendrick Motorsports, which is Jeff Gordon, or at the time was Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., for those that are NASCAR fans, as their pit crew coach and helping develop those teams and lead those teams. And for a lack of a better term, success was my mistress, and I chased it, and that came first. And there's a special place in heaven for coaches' wives. My wife put up with the schedule of being gone 40 weekends a year, sometimes Friday through Monday, working 50, 60 hours a week in between, and that level of commitment to the team and to at that point our mission. And that was the same level of commitment that I gave to Warrior Path, and realized I was doing the same thing, putting everything before my first team, which is my family. And we decided to make a change, and instead of saying farewell, Ken said, hold on. And he said, I got an opportunity for you if you're willing to be a part of standing up and training partner programs around the country. And so that's what I get to do now. I got to move back to North Carolina, take care of my family, work from home when I'm not traveling, but also continue to be a part of the Warrior Path journey as we've scaled around the country and are a part of the Gary Sinise Foundation Avalon Network. I was telling you earlier, I just got off a training call with our 9th partner out in Washington State. So looking forward to doing songwriting out there with them, and just kind of get to be a part of this journey and get to serve those that have served and sacrificed for us.
Right. Excellent. And congratulations on a lot of success that has been obviously the reward of a lot of hard work. So for those of you who don't know about PATHH, or what would you tell them? Can you describe what PATHH is? For a lot of our community has gone to PATHH, as you know, but there are definitely a large member of our community who have not, and they're not familiar with it. So thought this would be a good time for those who've heard of it, but they're not really sure what it is or don't know a lot about it.
Sure. So PATHH stands for Progressive and Alternative Training for Healing Heroes. And we are based on the science of post-traumatic growth. which in the very smallest of nutshells says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That through struggle, you can find strength and gain strength and live a life of meaning and purpose and fulfillment because of the things you've experienced. And PATHH takes that mindset, takes that science, turns it into action through 7 days. We call it our initiation week, which is 7 days at one of our partner locations on property. It's 48 modules and 74 contact hours. One of those modules is a songwriting module. And through the course of that week, it's about training. It's about training our veterans and first responders, our warrior community, to take the training and life experiences that they've had to date, understand what that training and experience has taught them, build a capacity to choose how they want to use that training, what they want to leave behind, and make room for the ability and the opportunity to then write their new story, which is where you guys come in as a part of the program. You literally are writing a song. You're literally a part of writing this new story and putting words to it, especially in the return home after the 7 days. There's so much that happens in 7 days that it can be hard to put words to. And what our alumni go home with after those 7 days is something that they can press play and start to tell that story. Right. So PATHH it's a lifelong journey. Warrior Path and post-traumatic growth is a lifelong journey that starts with 7 days on site, on location. And then the training continues virtually with a cohort of 6 to 8 for 18 months after that. And they have all sorts of opportunities over the course of the 18 months in 7 different phases to continue to engage and to continue to learn about themselves, learn about their team, connect with their team, and write what the story of their life that they deserve to have and that their families deserve to have.
Yeah, very well said. Very a lot for those of you who don't know how we became such close partners, the two organizations together. It's very in sync with our mission. And for ours is to use the collaborative songwriting, so similar to that group module that you have, to build creativity, connections, and strengths. So early on, we saw that bonding that happens in there when you are crafting, sharing your story so honestly with someone who's right there with you, arm in arm, to all of a sudden like inhabit your story with you and carry it forward through song. It's a spark for a lot of what you're saying, the post-traumatic growth or growth in general. So for you, Greg, in this role, and you have gotten to participate then in a group song, at least. Maybe one of these days we'll get you in your own individual songwriting session. How do you feel like it helped you expand your creativity, which opens you to more possibilities? What do you, the songwriting that you've done, and then in your own life, how do you use your creativity? So
what I've seen from the songwriting, and at this point, goodness, I think I'm somewhere between 80 and 100 programs. Mm-hmm. It's a light bulb moment. It's an opportunity to share pieces of your story. You think about it from a group perspective. You've got 6 to 8 warriors sharing pieces and parts of their stories based on the questions that the songwriter asks. And the way that the questions are asked are from a level of curiosity and authenticity and understanding that elicits honesty. And we've built a safe and trusted environment over the course of the 5 days and 6 days that they're there. And the warriors dive in and they just start to share like they've been doing all week long. And one of the post-traumatic growth phases of post-traumatic growth is disclosure. And using that opportunity to disclose and to share these answers and to share these experiences mm-hmm. offers us opportunities to unload these things that we don't need to carry anymore, to share the experience, to share wisdom gained from these experiences. But it also helps people see that they're not alone in those experiences. And while the details of the experiences may be different, oftentimes the struggle is the same and the result is the same. People get to the same place through different roads, but the same destruction can be found on those roads that end up in certain places. So there's a cohesiveness that's formed, and there's also a connection that's formed between the group and the songwriter that helps the students see my story can resonate with somebody who literally knows nothing about my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps present an opportunity for them to go home and share that story, be it through the song itself, or have the experience and training from being in the program and talking about it and sharing their experience, to go home and share that, knowing that their story, their experience, their wisdom can be appreciated and understood on a much bigger scale than just the details of that moment in time.
Right.
That, and one of the, several of the songwriters use the analogy of turning the flashlight out, right? You turn the flashlight out and that's the story, right? That's the song. And one, you get to find your way and you get to find people along the way, but also people get to see that light. Yeah. And they get to see and hear your experience and share that experience and share the understanding and share the wisdom and share the strength that comes from telling your story. And the stories that are told and the songs that are created are incredible. I mean, I don't, they're not unbelievable because I see it happen at least once a month. But I'm at a loss for a descriptive word for other than incredible, to see the transformation that happens and the connection that happens over the course of 2 or so hours in that group setting, where a song is created out of that wasn't there when they got up that morning. This thing didn't exist, and through sharing their story and having a songwriter listen to understand and then put the pieces together and put a tune to it, like it's an incredible experience to watch unfold and to be a part of the unfolding of that, and then the impact when they get to hear that, it's like it's unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, it's miraculous in some ways, a miracle of creation right before your eyes. It's something new that really it seems to, like you said, that shining the light out and giving so many other people the vision of a future too. They can walk in that light with them. Yeah,
they can. Their stories are similar, and they see. I forget who said it. Kenny Chesney or somebody said it or was quoted. It's like, and it resonates with me every time I watch the songwriter do their thing. It's like these are, and they're not just people that are good with words. Like these are seasoned songwriters with incredible resumes that are taking the time to do this. And the red thing that often resonates with everybody every single time is the fact that those words, that 2.5 minutes, can be taken 80,000 different ways. I'm going to share my experience with you, and it's going to be heard thousands of different ways based on who hears it, and resonate and make an impact and give somebody an opportunity to make a connection.
Right.
And that's what I see with that piece of the puzzle, with that experience that our students and get to have, is a story that, one, they can go back to, because we know the power of music. We know the power of that creative opportunity. They can go back to that moment in time and be immediately transported. If they're struggling, they can go back, they can play that song and go back to that moment with their team, with that songwriter, and find the positivity in it, which can change the trajectory of their day.
Right.
Or they can share that song when somebody else is struggling and potentially change the trajectory of their day. And then what you see from using creative outlets is an opportunity to express themselves in ways that they may not have been able to do before or otherwise.
Right. So that huge connection back to themselves, and then physically with music, we know the benefits of that, and more and more research on that. And then connecting with other people and feeling part of something bigger than yourself is just so important, as we all know. And that helps you become more aware of your own strengths that you bring to situations that aren't always the physical strengths. And that's a big issue too.
Yeah.
So for you, Greg, obviously physical strengths has been a big part of your life and your past, and in the work that you talked about, and the creativity that we focus on so much. We just talked about why that's so important, because it expands your views of what's possible, and often opens up just unexpected and often unfathomable possibilities. So you stay very strong. You obviously are somebody that a lot of people look to as a real positive role model and a real inspiring energy Like you've got energy even in your emails and seize the day. How do you stay strong? What do you do to stay creative and feed that side of yourself?
One, I do things on a regular basis, from we call wellness practices, working out and eating well and getting sleep and meditating and those kind of things. Doing things that feed me, my mind and my body and my spirit. And I keep using the word feed because part of the creative outlet that I use is cooking and creating things. And I keep telling my wife every now and we'll have we can kind of make a menu what we want to eat this week, and we shop based off of that. And there's some days where it's just like we don't feel like going to the grocery store, and well, tonight is going to be one of those nights where we have whatever's in the fridge. And I like to just kind of open the fridge and go, let's see, well, that would go with this, and this would go with that, and this would go with this, and this would go with that. And I put on music and I have fun creating something out of nothing, in those moments. And, when I plan food, like Thanksgiving is my jam. We have been hosting it for years up until last year. We had hosted it, I don't know how many years in a row, mainly because I've been on the road in racing for 40 weekends. And that Thanksgiving was like the first or second weekend off. So it was partly selfish of I don't want to travel anywhere. So I would love to see everybody, but you're coming to me. But the feast that we have at Thanksgiving is ridiculous. And it's all about, creating that environment of love and connection through food, and whatever kind of food. I mean, you got turkey, you got two types of turkey. My house, you have ravioli and all that kind of stuff at Thanksgiving. But it's creating flavors and an experience that shows people how much I care.
Right.
And it also is a way of, it's a regulation for me. It gives me an opportunity to just be, and I don't have to like think about anything. I just do it, and I smell it and I taste it and I see it. And there's a presentation aspect. I want it to look good too. I want to take that watermelon and turn it into a pirate ship, for my son's birthday party one year. And, food is kind of the biggest way that I get creative and challenge myself. I made a helmet we live in North Carolina, just north of Charlotte. And my son wanted a Panthers helmet for his cake one year. So I made a helmet out of cake.
Oh, wow.
That is a one-time thing. Because it took every creative bone in my body as well as all my faces to not throw it out the window. But really, food is kind of my go-to. I like drawing and building. So that's kind of the second thing for me. Cartoons are what kind of go-to for drawing, but I like colors and my son is an amazing artist with watercolor, but it's like that artistic eye, and it's something that he and I have had conversations about as he gets older and he's going to be a junior in high school. It's like it doesn't have to be one medium. That creative artistic piece of you can come out in many forms. There are many opportunities to do that, so I mean, cooking, building things, my yard is I make that thing look as nice as I can, and it's a meditative thing for me. We mowing the lawn, and we got a garden that we've done this year. I built garden boxes for my wife and I. And my 4-year-old loves gardening. He's out there every day. So it's those. I think those are the things that I use to build and create and take something. Again, for me, it's taking a pile of wood or ingredients and create something that wasn't there before. That's useful and impactful. And the common thread between all of them is that there's a layer, there's a level, an opportunity for connection through all of it. Yeah. I can't play the music. I can't sing my way out of a bucket. I love music, but that's my creativity is on that side.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you, because this is such a great example of the many, many, many ways to be creative. And so many people think it's, like, oh, I'm not musical or I'm not an artist, but there's so many ways to be creative. And your stories, your examples are just indicative of that. They also show, we talk about a lot at our retreats, like the 3 pillars of happiness, like a life well lived, pleasure, engagement, and meaning. And every one of your examples, it's not selfish to be having pleasure. It's like a good reminder of that. Turning on the music or making a cake, food. People think of that as, oh, that's just pleasure. But it's engaging, it's pulling in your interests. Like you said, you get in the zone, kind of forget about everything else and totally into it. So you're feeding a lot of your other strengths, you know, your appreciation of beauty and your sense of community, and then meaning. There's a lot of meaning in what you do. You're creating meals for people you love. You're gathering people together. You're growing food.
One of the meals that I cook is the recipe, and it's been made in my family for over 100 years.
Wow.
We call it. It's got a fun. It's a fancy name, so buckle up. It's called Grandpa's steak, and I will not divulge how it's made, but it's something that my great grandfather would make as their kind of extravagant meal, and it's steak and garlic and parsley and olive oil and salt. Like, it's nothing fancy, which to me is one of the beauties of Italian food, is it's simple.
Right.
But it's as my grandmother would say. I remember she smacked me on the hand one day when I went to stir the sauce with a metal spoon, and she's like, "There's no love in that." And I was like, "What are you saying? It's a spoon. I'm gonna put the wooden spoon it's got flavor. It's got
Right.
love in it." So it connects me to those things. And when I make this meal, I now make it for one of birthday or Christmas. After my grandmother passed, my uncle sent me for my birthday, I think it was, the pan that she used to make it in.
Wow.
And it's been used, so it's a kind of hammered aluminum pan. And when you used to be able to see the imprint on the bottom of it, it said 1951. It's got the wooden handle and the Delron strip that my grandfather put in there to fix it.
Oh,
but
wow.
I make that same meal, and my great grandfather was alive when I was born, and I have a picture as an infant with him and my dad and my grandfather and grandmother. But I can feel his presence and the other generations who experienced that meal. And that's, like I said, it's over 100 years that very meal has been made, and now my kids know about it. And so the idea is that now we've got the guy who immigrated from Italy and however many generations it hopefully continues to go, all connected through the same meal.
Ooh,
and the stories that come with that.
It was a beautiful story for you to write there, Greg, about the pot.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Maybe you could share some photos or a recipe, or at least a picture of one of the dishes sometime on our group.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've fed my curiosity and my appreciation of beauty with all sorts of, I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to taste. That's what I'm thinking.
I know I have pictures on my phone of it cooking in that pot.
Oh, that would be fun. I'd love to see it.
I love to tease my family members with it when it's simmering and bubbling, and I send them videos of it, because I know they're not eating it at that moment.
Well, maybe one of these days you do a demonstration on our site. We have a variety of instructors teach different things for creativity. That could be
absolutely
really
fun. Absolutely. We did pizza one night on the alumni, the Warrior Path alumni page. I got my mom on there. We made virtual pizza.
Oh, how fun.
Yep.
All right, we'll talk about that, definitely. So what do you do when you start feeling stuck, or when you're not as motivated? Do you ever have days like that? And if what do you do?
Oh yeah. Well, I go back to the basics. Back to one of my kind of mantras as a coach is fundamentals win. So I go back to that, but my default is, if I'm kind of feeling stuck or down or in a rut, I go to the kitchen and I make a meal and get creative, and I put aside whatever it is I'm carrying or holding on to or ignoring, or you pick the rut, and I put my focus and energy into making a meal for somebody else, making a meal for my family, or having people over. I enjoy cooking for other people. I worked in a restaurant as a chef, and it was about being able to give that experience to somebody else. And so when I'm in one of those ruts, I go to the kitchen and I sharpen my knives and I create something. There was a point in time where I was trying to cook my way through Julia Child's cookbook. My waistline, my stomach, my taste buds appreciate all the butter in French food. My waistline had a different opinion, but it's definitely, I'll go to the food, or I will go, and you can see, I think it's right, that one right there. is
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
record player, and down below
Yeah.
it's I got all sorts of vinyls, and that's
Mhm.
the other thing I'll do is I'll put on some old school music, some Friday night's pizza night in my house,
Mhm.
and we play Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and Perry Como and all the
Oh, fun.
old the Rat Pack. But I'll go to music to kind of
Mhm.
change that mood, or I'll start cooking. Those are the kind of things that I gravitate towards
Yeah.
when I'm in a rut, for sure.
I love how you keep saying, I go to this, I go to that, because that's the key right there. People need to know, what are your go-to? What do you
Yep.
really like to do? And go to them. And when you approach it like you do, where it's for you, first of all, and then it can benefit others
Yep.
in so many ways,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's with music, and you know this, and you can, I'm certain, talk about it in a far greater depth than I can, but we know music stimulates both sides of our brain, and
Mhm.
like literally you can think of a song and go back to, I can still, like, I will get goosebumps thinking about Van Halen right now. It takes me right back to the field. I can see the bugs in the lights from the game, the like everything, the grass
Mhm.
coming up off of our cleats, and knowing that right now it's me and my dudes, and all we're gonna do is wreck shop on those cats over there. I don't have to worry about anything else. And that back when we made mixtapes, right?
Right, right.
For those of you that don't know that are watching this, what a mixtape is, Google it. Those are the good old days. But that was on every pregame warm up tape that I
Mhm.
ever had, was that song, and I go to that when I was, I can think about that song, and I go straight there, and my mood changes and my perspective changes, and it's like, all right, let's get after it. I may not be as good
What's
as
the name of the song? Which one?
right now.
Okay,
Right
because
now.
we need to know
Yep.
that in case we need to get that out for you in a hurry.
That's it. Right now, it is on my playlist.
Oh, that's great.
But there's so many of them, so many songs I could pick and say, this song will do that for me in this moment. Whether
Oh,
it amp me up, calm me down, make me
mhm.
reminisce, all that stuff.
That's so much fun. I may do a writing workshop on that. I wrote an essay years ago about, like, it was just a tour of my life through song.
Mm-hmm.
Similar thing, just quick, but everybody has that. It'd
Yep.
be really fun for us to all share it and then go
It's
many
like
places together.
it's like so take I have an iPhone, take your iTunes playlist and just hit shuffle, and you'll get everything from Frank Sinatra and Pavarotti
Mhm.
to Fat Joe and NSYNC, maybe not NSYNC, Color Me Bad. They're on there. I know they're on there back from the 90s.
Mhm.
And you just talk, I do that every now and then. I'll hit shuffle, and we're in a car with the kids, and they're like, "What is this?" It's like, "Oh, that song. This is where I was,"
Yep.
kind of stuff, and just tell stories, share memories. And now, I ask the kids now. It's like, who sings this song? What is that crap you're listening to?
Yeah. Well, and now there's people all around the country and all around the world with songs from PATHH, songs from Songwriting
Yeah,
with Soldiers that are on their playlist. People that didn't go to PATHH or Songwriting with Soldiers that have heard them. So
yep,
it's all good. It's rippling out.
it
Positive
is.
reverberation
Yep.
all
Pebble
over.
in a pond. Every song is a pebble in a pond that resonates with everybody that hears it in their own way. And I have the benefit of being embedding with all of our partners for at least 3 programs, and experiencing all of the songwriters that are committed to doing the work that you guys do. And I have like, oh, I got to remember to keep that one on my phone. Oh,
Right.
I got to put that one on my phone. Because
Yeah.
it's just, they're great. They're amazing songs that resonate,
Mhm. Yeah.
and that you every now and then you need to listen to it.
Right. Great collection of talent and truth and bravery and showing up.
Absolutely.
So how do people show up? How do people that don't know about PATHH or might be interested, what do they do?
Look up Warrior Path. Bouldercrest.org is our site that you can sign up for Warrior Path. We also have partners in, let's see, I'm going to start at the top of the country. We have Maine, the Travis Mills Foundation in Maine. And then we have Virginia, which is the first one south of that. We have Camp Southern Ground in Georgia. We have the Big Red Barn Retreat in South Carolina. We have Gratitude America in Florida, Sheepdog Impact Assistance in Arkansas, our mobile team, which is based out of Virginia, but they travel around the country. So that would be on our Virginia website. Arizona, which is Boulder Crest, so bouldercrest.org for those guys. And coming online in July is the Permission to Start Dreaming Foundation out in Washington State. So any of those names, if you Google those names, you'll find websites and links to Warrior Path as a combat veteran or first responder.
Right. Great. And there's a link from our page too, if people are on there coming around, but just, I love that you say that you show on the Boulder Crest website, there's like the web of all the paths that are crossing around the country.
We are literally next month in July, we will have basically, I'm actually looking at December right now, and there's 9 Warrior Path programs, 10 Warrior Path programs that are going to be run because one of the teams is doubling up that month. But we'll have 10 Warrior Path programs running in December, serving 6 to 8 people per program in December. So you think at any one point in time, there are upwards of 80 of our nation's warriors getting training, tapping into their creativity, getting connected, and starting to walk forward and write this new story into the lives that they deserve all at one time, which is pretty fantastic.
Right. All those songs going out there too after that.
Yeah.
So we will keep doing our part, spreading those songs out there.
Absolutely. Well, I know we appreciate it. I know it's always one of the top things talked about at the end of the path when we do our little AAR of what worked and what could be better. It's always one of the most impactful moments when these students get to sit down and experience that and be a part of it,
right.
create something of their experience with the songwriter.
Right. Something timeless.
Yeah.
Absolute timeless, beautiful piece of art.
Absolutely.
Well, Greg, thank you. Thank you for taking the time today. And thank you for taking the time over all the years that you have to work so hard and just keep working on becoming such a great, giving, interesting, fun person.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate all you guys do and the relationship that we have and the commitment that the songwriters show up with each and every time to be present, to be where their feet are and listen, and then help these warriors make a memory that lasts forever.
Well, thank you. And thank you for taking such good care of them when they're there. They feel ready to do their job every time. So that's a lot on your part.
That's what we want.
Thank you. All right. Well, we will stay in touch, and please share any of your creative creations on our Facebook group page.
Absolutely.
I know you'd get a lot of activity and scattering more seeds.
That's it.
Cooking up more good. All right. Take care, Greg.